Test 1, 2. You ready? Yep. The Subcommittee on Immigration and Border Security will come to order. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare recess at any time. Pursuant to notice, we will now consider whether to request a report from the Department of Homeland Security and the beneficiary of H.R. 1237. I will begin by recognizing myself for an opening statement. Good afternoon. ICE Acting Director Thomas Homan sent Chairman Goodlatte a letter last May stating that, quote, ICE will consider and issue a stay or removal only if the chair of the full committee or subcommittee expressly makes a written request that ICE stay the beneficiary of a private immigration bill's removal independent of any request for an investigative report. A request for an investigative report will no longer trigger an automatic stay of removal. ICE will not grant a beneficiary more than one stay of removal through the private immigration bill process. The duration of a stay of removal will be limited to 6 months. However, the ICE director at his or her discretion can provide a one-time 90-day extension. ICE will take appropriate action, including the removal of the alien beneficiary in cases where ICE discovers derogatory information about an alien beneficiary after issuing a stay of removal, close quote. In addition, Rules 4 and 5 of this subcommittee's rules for private immigration bills state that the subcommittee will not intervene in deportation proceedings and will not request stays of deportation on behalf of beneficiaries of private bills, except that the subcommittee may at a formal meeting entertain a motion to request that the Department of Homeland Security provide the subcommittee with a departmental report on a beneficiary of a private bill. Today we're voting to request a DHS departmental report on Amr Numan Othman, the beneficiary of H.R. 1237. Pursuant to the rules, we adopted ICE's policy. If the subcommittee so votes, then the committee will request that ICE stay Mr. Othman's removal for the 6-month period set forth in ICE's letter to Chairman Goodlatte. Then once we receive ICE's report, we can decide whether to mark up H.R. 1237. I now turn to our ranking member, So Lofgren.
Mr. Chairman, I concur with your recommendation that we seek departmental information, understanding that the policy that you have referred to by Mr. Homan is the current situation. There may be further discussion at a later date about the wisdom of that, but it is not pertinent for this matter. And I would ask that my statement be made a part of the record.
Thank you. I now move that the subcommittee request a departmental report on H.R. 1237 pursuant to Rule 5 of our Rules of Procedure for Private Immigration Bills.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I recognize gentleman from Iowa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to seek the last word. You know, I'm catching up with the information here, so I'm not going to present myself as being fully informed. But I wanted to say into the record here that I anticipate this. I mean, H.R. 1237 is a private bill that we anticipate coming before this committee maybe 6 months down the road if there's a 6 months extension that's offered by this subcommittee. And I am fairly familiar with the standards that we've established in the past on private bills, and one of those circumstances is that those cases be unique. When I read through this material that I see, I suspect it's not going to meet those standards. And so I haven't heard a case that's very strong about moving procedurally on this that might say that there's an anticipation that this case could qualify within our standards for a private bill. And the downside of allowing another 6 months is not that that doesn't trouble me considerably, except it's kind of an implicit promise that we're going to move forward on H.R. 1237 should there be an ICE report come back that's not negative. And so I'd be happy to yield to the chairman to respond to my inquiry, because I'm not solid enough on the evidence in front of me to support this motion.
We're just asking for the report. We're not implicitly guaranteeing that we're going to be moving forward on the motion or on the private bill. And the gentleman is welcome to vote either way on this motion. That's why we have a committee and a subcommittee. And I am not here to make an argument for or against the private bill, because I don't think we have sufficient information to know.
And reclaiming my time and appreciating the chairman's response, I would say into the record that there's in all my 15 years on this immigration committee, I haven't seen such a weak case come before this subcommittee and advocating for a nice extension in a report. And I don't believe there is a case that of a private bill of this nature that has been supported by this Congress. And so with that in mind, I do intend to register a no vote on this because I want the record to show that. And the good side of that would be that the subject of this bill then will know that there's sincere concern and not have their aspirations and their hopes raised higher and then perhaps dashed later. So that'll be my intent and the purpose of it. It now is in the record, and I thank the chairman, and I'd yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you very much. Any other debate or discussion on this motion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to request a departmental report. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it, and the
Mr. Chairman.
subcommittee.
I request recorded vote.
Yeah, the ayes have it, and the subcommittee will request a report. A recorded vote has been requested. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Labrador?
Yes.
Mr. Labrador votes yes. Mr. Sensenbrenner? Mr. Smith? Mr. King? Mr. King votes no. Mr. Jordan? Mr. Buck? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson votes yes. Mr. Biggs? Ms. Lofgren? Ms. Lofgren votes yes. Mr. Gutierrez? Ms. Jayapal? Ms. Jayapal votes yes. Ms. Jackson-Lee? Mr. Raskin? Mr. Raskin votes yes.
The ayes have it, and the committee will request a report from the Department of Homeland Security on H.R. 1237. This concludes our business for today. Thanks to all of our members for attending, and the meeting is adjourned.